Welcome back to another week of Operation Evil. This is episode 36, The Dating Game Killer. As you just listened, that was the theme song to the show from the 60s, 70s time period, right? 70s, late 60s.
Let's go with 70s.
Yeah, let's go with 70s. That sounds good. I'm your host, Nyoka.
I'm Rachel.
Why are you always delayed on that? You're always like, what's my name again? What's my name again?
I'm so into what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
I'm Rachael.
Rachel. Thanks to everyone who tunes in every week to listen to Rachel.
And to listen to the Nyoka.
We hope that you enjoyed last week's episode, Code Adam.
We were very proud of that.
We were. I think we did a really good job. We did a lot of research. And there was a lot of stuff I learned from that one that I did not know. Anyway, we don't have any special business for you. Sorry. We're just going to jump right in. Of course, warning, episode contains disturbing content such as violence and rape. Again, listener discretion is advised. Now you want to do that part? Now on with the show. Can you do an accent?
Now on with the show.
I love that. Good job. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. This is The Dating Game Killer.
Before Rodney Alcala, a beautiful young woman. After Rodney Alcala, she's a brutalized, ripped up corpse.
Prosecutors say when he was young, Alcala was a master manipulator.
It's The Dating Game.
Alcala became bachelor number 1 on the hit show The Dating Game, even though he had a rap sheet showing a conviction for brutally beating an 8-year-old girl.
Bachelor number 1.
Yes.
What's your best time?
The best time is at nighttime.
He won the date with the Bachelorette and continued taking more snapshots.
Throughout the years, especially in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't uncommon to see dating game shows on the television. For example, there was Love Connection, which we touched base on. I think that was in a bonus episode. But anyways, we talked about that. There was The Dating Game, which we're talking about today. And in the 90s, when we were in high school growing up, we had Singled Out on MTV.
Chris Hardwick, he is the host of Talking Dead.
That's who it is?
Uh-huh. And then, of course, Jenny
McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who that guy is.
I didn't realize that. Okay. That was a really good show. Do you remember?
I did watch it, yeah.
Yeah. That was really good. So it's always been a thing to have dating shows, apparently. Well, at least up until the 2000s. I don't know if there's any. Are there any today?
No, it's more like, I guess, like The Bachelor.
Yeah, now it's like
Bachelorette.
Dateline where they're catching people.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
That's some real dating.
You're right. The Bachelorette and stuff like that. I don't watch that, though.
Brett Michaels. Remember?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, and Flava Flav. Remember he had one, too?
Yeah, that's right. He did.
So it's always been a thing.
In some form or another.
Yeah. So the story that we're telling you about is about one of these dating games, the Dating Game Show, and there was a contestant on there. His name was Rodney Alcala.
Alcala?
Rodney Alcala.
Yes, that sounds right, for real.
The story we are going to talk about today is about Rodney Alcala.
He looks like a cross between Weird Al Yankovic and, what's that guy? Richard Ramirez.
And he does. And you will see that because we will post pictures.
He's got gray, wavy hair at some point before.
He does.
When he was old.
Yeah.
In the 60s, I think they said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He has the nickname the Dating Game Killer because of his appearance on the popular dating game show in 1978 during his killing spree. when he murdered at least 4 people before his appearance on the show.
He was a pretty good-looking guy, considering.
was.
He was a typical contestant, what you would think they would look like.
I would totally pick him.
He had long hair.
Yeah, he had long hair. He was a good-looking guy.
He was.
So the show's format involved one bachelorette choosing which of the 3 bachelors to go on the date with after a questioning period in which the bachelors are hidden from view. So it would be her and then like a divider and then them 3 sitting on stools on the other side. And they couldn't tell you what their income was, what their profession was, and there was something else I couldn't remember.
Could they could say their age, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
It was mostly like what hobbies.
I think just mainly income and their career, because gold diggers probably.
Makes sense. Can we demonstrate
Absolutely.
said thing event?
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Do you want to be the guy or the girl?
I'll be the girl.
Okay.
What's your favorite time of day?
The night.
The night. Why?
Because it's the best.
And that's an actual thing
Yes.
that he says and that she asks. You guys need to see the clips of this. And they were kind of like starting, I guess they were kind of risque kind of, because they would ask like
Insinuating
questions.
Yeah.
Like, I think another one she asked them was like, if you were a food and you were on my plate, what food would you be and why?
It's, yeah, like a little bit of a sexual innuendo there.
And he said, a banana, and peel it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
When she said something about peel me.
Peel. Yes. Peel me. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, on September 13th, 1978, Cheryl Bradshaw, the bachelorette on TV show The Dating Game, would be matched up with one of the bachelors lined up to date her. In the end, she did choose bachelor number 1, which was Rodney, aka the Dating Game Killer. He wore a brown bell-bottom suit, which was the thing. Bell-bottoms were the thing. I think they should still be a thing anyway. He was handsome. He was charming. He answered things like kind of funny. Even the audience was like into him. And he was introduced as a successful photographer who enjoyed skydiving and motorcycling in his spare time after she picked him. Not beforehand, afterwards. The 2 were awarded tennis lessons, complete with outfits, and a trip to the Magic Mountain theme park. After the show ended, they had a conversation backstage, and he told Cheryl that he would take her on a date she'd never forget. Well, the thing is that her intuition was screaming at her that something was wrong. Cheryl told Sydney Telegraph in 2012 that she started to feel ill. She said, quote, "He was acting really creepy. I turned down his offer. I didn't want to see him again."
Did you think his eyes looked black?
He did have an evil look to him.
Like his eyes were very, which I mean, we both have brown eyes. They're very dark. But his eyes looked very dark.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, because like there are certain people that almost like hollow eyes, like there's nothing behind, no life behind them. Yeah, he did have that. He did have that look in his eye. But after she, I guess, was talking to him, her intuition was like, no way. No, don't do it. She had called the show's office after filming, and she told Ellen Metzger, who was the contestant coordinator, that she did not want to go on a date with him. She said, quote, "Ellen, I cannot go out with this guy. There's weird vibes that are coming off of him. He's very strange. I am not comfortable," end quote. It's hard to say if her rejection like fueled any of his rage. But after his television appearance, he claimed to have killed between 50 to 100 people. And you got to remember, he already killed 4 before his appearance. on the show.
It's just so odd. Like, why would you go on national television?
Yeah, I didn't even know this story existed. And you're the one that said it on one of our, I think it was the Patreon episode. And I was like, excuse me, what? Like,
yes.
This is the thing. This happened?
She literally did a research like in a day. She was so into the story.
Yeah, I fell down another rabbit hole of this. So another bachelor that appeared on the show with Rodney as another contestant, his name was Jed Mills, and he recalled Rodney's behavior, and he said, quote, Rodney was kind of quiet. I remember him because I told my brother about this one guy who was kind of good looking, but kind of creepy. He was always looking down and not making eye contact, end quote. He said in the green room before the show, he even said, I always get my girl. So he gave them weird heebie-jeebies.
I guess it's like an awkward, creepy.
Yeah, apparently he had a major creepy vibe. The popular dating show did not perform any background checks on their bachelors, in case if you're wondering how this happened. Maybe if they had, this killer would have never been on the show. In fact, they would have discovered how he already spent 3 years in prison for raping and beating an 8-year-old girl. He also did the same thing to a 13-year-old, too.
Oh, gosh.
Which put him on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. He was also suspected of 4 prior murders, but wasn't, linked to them yet. Another article, though, that I read, it stated that the technology to do background checks or for, national databases didn't exist. The technology wasn't there.
And this was, what, late 70s, right? 78?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I kind of believe it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, look what we learned from last week's episode.
Yeah, they didn't even have a list of missing children in the 80s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why he got by with that.
Well, and again, state to state.
Yeah, you don't know. But what's interesting is he had the balls to go on a television show while being on the FBI's most wanted list.
Yeah, that's
ballsy.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So a little bit about his early life. He was born in San Antonio, Texas in 1943. At age 8, his father moved the family to Mexico and then abandoned them 3 years later. From there, his mother moved them to suburban Los Angeles. At 17, he entered the Army as a clerk, but after a nervous breakdown, he was medically diagnosed due to mental health problems. He also had an IQ of 135, and he was very intelligent, and he went to UCLA. But he didn't stay on the straight path very long. Have you noticed, too, a lot of these serial killers are very intelligent? And I've always heard there's a fine line between genius and insanity.
I believe it, because I think it was Ed Kemper was a genius, too, I think they said.
It's insane how that is. I don't know.
Was it Charles Manson, I think, is supposed to be, really freaking smart, too?
I think so. There's just so many of them that are so intelligent, and
their brain is just, the wiring is just not
crisscrossed.
Right. Yeah.
Something's wrong there. When it comes to the murders, Rodney had a signature style like many other killers do. His style was more like beating, biting, raping, and strangling his victims. Often he would choke his victims to the point of unconsciousness, and then once they came to, he would repeat the process over again. He was able to successfully do 2 of these things on his first known attempt at killing in 1968. The victim was 8-year-old Tally Shapiro. This girl, he stopped her as she was walking to school. He offered her a ride and lured her into his Hollywood apartment. She was brutally raped and beaten, and she barely survived the incident.
She survived?
She survived, and this is how she survived. Also, I do want to tell you, I watched an interview with her, or a news clip with her, and she said when he stopped her, she was originally like, I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. And he told her, oh, it's okay. I'm friends with your parents. So she didn't question it because he was an adult and
So he's one of the reasons.
Friends with her parents.
Yeah, he's one of the reasons why that's
Yes.
a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. So her life was saved because there was a witness who reported a tip to the police about a possible abduction. So he witnessed it. And when the police arrived, which was within 10 minutes, they found her bloodied and unclothed with a severe head wound at Rodney's apartment. And he escaped through the back door and remained a fugitive for years.
10 minutes?
10 minutes. He would then move to New York and use the alias John Berger to enroll in film school at New York University, where he studied under Roman Polanski. Now, Roman was known for several reasons, including his films, which I think his first successful one was Rosemary's Baby. His pregnant wife, actress Sharon Tate, who was murdered by members of Charles Manson's cult in 1977, he was indicted also on 6 criminal counts of having sexual relations with a 13-year-old girl.
That's weird that we were just, well, you knew that Charles Manson was in the article, but that's weird. We just mentioned him.
Right, and his wife was Sharon Tate. And he was a pedophile, turns out. Anyway, in 1971, Rodney was arrested after being recognized on the FBI poster by teenagers who knew him as their counselor at a New Hampshire summer camp. He was identified in the rape and attempted murder of Tali Shapiro, the 8-year-old girl that we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. He was only convicted of assault because her family kept her from testifying for the rape conviction. They probably did it for her own good. Like, they didn't want her to go through that. So, but the thing is he only spent 3 years in prison. And soon another 2 years he would serve for assaulting a 13-year-old girl. And he approached this 13-year-old girl at a bus stop in Huntington Beach, California. And he took her to cliffs overlooking a beach. He forced her to smoke marijuana and he kissed her. And according to court records, the encounter ended when a ranger arrested both of them for possession of marijuana.
Luckily, that ranger walked upon them.
Exactly. Now, authorities then agreed to let Rodney travel to New York to visit family. Why? I don't know. Why would they do this? It was believed that in that first week of his arrival, he murdered Elaine Hoover, college student and daughter of popular Hollywood nightclub, the goddaughter of both Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin.
Like, did he stalk these people? How did he always manage to get someone who was connected to someone well known?
I have no idea. None. But somehow in 1978, after all these things that he did, he managed to get a job with Los Angeles Times as a time setter under his real name, which had an extensive criminal record. So now he was a typist by day and a professional photographer to the young girls he lured in at night, and some would never be heard from again. How was he caught? So you should see Rachel's face right now. She's got like her mouth open. She's in shock, I think.
It's shock, yes.
According to an article by Aaron Kelly, the year after the dating game appearance.
Sorry about the scuffle.
It's okay. 17-year-old Leanne, it looks like Leanne or Leadham, was lucky enough to walk away from a photo shoot with Rodney unharmed. She stated that he, quote, showed her his portfolio which in addition to shots of women included spread after spread of naked teenage boys, end quote. Police released parts of his portfolio to aid in victim identification. Over the years, a few have stepped forward to reveal their horrifying time with this murderer. The case of 12-year-old Robin Samoso. I'm so bad at these names. Samso. Anyway, the 12-year-old Robin would be the case to stop Rodney's killing spree. Robin disappeared on June 20th, 1979, on her way to ballet class at Huntington Beach, California. Her friends said that a stranger approached them about doing a photo shoot. They declined. Robin left on a friend's bike to rush to ballet class, but somewhere between the beach and the ballet class, she disappeared. And nearly 12 days later, a park ranger found her body in a forested area. A kitchen knife was found nearby. Robin's friends were able to give a description of the man to the police sketch artist. In a 2020 special that aired, Rodney's The Dating Game appearance ultimately led to his arrest. While police investigated him for the death of Robin, one of the detectives happened to catch a repeat of the episode that he was on. And that episode was later shown to Robin's friend Bridget, who previously provided them with a description to sketch the killer.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so she said, so I had to go back up to the police station. I think it was shortly after the sketch got faxed out, and they put me in this room, and they had a big TV, and they started the dating game. And Robin's friend Bridget told 2020, quote, and right when I saw the three contestants, I said, that's him. That's him. No question. That is the man. And when I heard his voice, without a shadow of a doubt, that is him, end quote.
Gosh, could you imagine seeing that on TV?
Yeah. And it's kind of good because they were able to catch him right away. So the sketch composite was already recognized by Rodney's former parole officer. So between the sketch, his criminal history, and the discovery of Robin's earrings and Rodney's storage locker, police were confident that they found their killer. And I do want to touch base on the earrings. Apparently, these were his trophies. So he would take earrings of these girls. Just want to throw that in there. The trial began in 1980, and the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, and he received the death penalty. Unfortunately, though, the California Supreme Court overturned his verdict due to the jury being prejudiced by learning of his past sex crimes. It took 6 years to put him back on trial again. The second trial took place in 1986, and this jury, once again, sentenced him to death, and this one didn't stick either. A Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals panel overturned it in 2001. LA Weekly wrote, quote, in part because the second trial judge did not allow a witness to back up defense's claim that the park ranger who found Robin's animal-ravaged body in the mountains had been hypnotized by, or is that hypnotized?
Yeah.
By police investigators, end quote. So second time.
I mean, it's almost like he's continuing to get away with it.
Yes. Now, 31 years later, and this is now in 2010, a third trial was held, and this is when he looks like Weird Al meets. Yeah. So just before the trial, Orange County Senior Deputy District Attorney, whoo, that is a title, isn't it?
That's a long one.
Matt Murphy told LA Weekly, the 70s in California was insane as far as the treatment of sexual predators. Rodney is a poster boy for this. It is a total comedy of outrageous stupidity.
Snap.
Right? Rodney announced that he would be his own lawyer in this trial.
Of course he did.
That's always the smart thing to do. This surprised people since investigators had concrete evidence thanks to prison's DNA swabs on 4 different murders against him. Now, according to the same article by Aaron Kelly, the jurors were in for a bizarre trial. Rodney, acting as his own attorney, asked himself questions, referring to himself as Mr. Alcala. I'll call ya. I'll call ya. That's what it is. I'm trying to remember by I'll call you later. So here he is talking in third person. Can you imagine? Sir, what is your favorite color? Well, actually, my favorite color. Oh, and it says in a deep voice, he would answer. I was even saying that. Oh, okay.
What a break.
So this continued on for 5 hours. Can you imagine back and forth? You have a conversation with yourself for 5 hours.
I mean, like, was it Ted Bundy represented himself? That was
did.
One mess. This is bigger.
At least Bundy had like some kind of education behind law.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So he stated that he didn't remember killing the other women. The only witness for his defense, psychologist Richard Rappaport, offered an explanation for the memory lapse, saying it could be borderline personality disorder. The jury found him guilty. That's the only person that came to his rescue. A surprise witness at his sentencing was the 8-year-old Tally, the girl he raped and beaten about 40 years earlier. She was able to witness justice for Robin. And remember, Robin was 12. And there's more. Okay. So she witnessed justice for Robin, who was 12. Jill Barcombe, which was 18, whose body was found on a Los Angeles roadside in 1977 with her face mutilated and ligatures around her neck. There was justice for Georgia Wittix, 27 years old, a nurse whose body was found naked and brutalized in her Malibu, California home in 1977. There was also Charlotte Lamb, who was 31, whose body was found strangled and raped in an apartment complex miles away from her home in June 1978. And there was Jill Parenteau, 21 years old, college student, who was found raped and murdered in her bedroom in June 1979. The court handed him the death penalty again for the 3rd time.
We begin with breaking news. The jury has made its decision on the fate of convicted killer Rodney Alcala. Earlier, he urged them to spare his life.
CBS 2 Orange County reporter Dave Lopez was in the courtroom when Alcala learned his fate. Dave.
Laura, that fate is death. He's heard it again and again and again. Death. In fact, it was one of the quickest deliberations in a death penalty case in Orange County history. It took this jury less than an hour to reach that verdict. Now, Rodney Alcala earlier had told the jury in his closing arguments, again, he acted as his own attorney, he had told the jury, basically, go ahead and give me the death penalty, I dare you, because all it's going to do is lead to another appeal. Then he also told them that if you give me the death, you are just as guilty of murdering me as anyone else.
Since the trial, he is still to be linked to many other cold case murders. For example, in 2016, Wyoming prosecutors charged him with the murder of Christine Ruth Thornton, 28 years old, who disappeared in 1978, whose body was found 4 years later. She was 6 months pregnant at the time of her murder. DNA evidence linked Rodney to the murder, but prosecutors said he was too sick to be extradited to Wyoming to face the murder charges. He has denied killing Thornton. Another cold case. Cornelia M. Crowley, a Trans World Airlines flight attendant, had been raped and strangled in her Upper East Side apartment in 1971. Then there was Ellen Jane Hoover, who we talked about earlier. She was an inspiring orchestra conductor whose remains were found in Westchester County nearly a year after she disappeared in 1977. He later pleaded guilty to the murders of Cornelia and Ellen. When New York City investigators learned about his alias name, if you remember from earlier, it was John Berger. When he was living in New York, they later found that his name in a file folder for Ellen's case.
So he was connected to her.
Yep. And that's the time that Rodney spent incarcerated. He self-published a book called You, the Jury, in case you're interested, where he claimed that he was innocent in the Robin case.
He, like, randomly picks and chooses. Like, he said he wasn't guilty of killing her, and then he said he wasn't guilty of the other person either.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the name.
There's just so many.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his death was just not that long ago. It was July 24th, 2021. He died of natural causes at age 77 while still sitting on death row.
The so-called dating game killer, who may have killed as many as 130 people across the country, died early this morning while still awaiting his execution. Prison officials say Rodney Alcala passed away from natural causes at a Kings County hospital. An Orange County jury convicted him in 2010 of 5 murders, including that of a 12-year-old girl. He was also later convicted of murder in New York and was charged in Wyoming. Prosecutors say he stalked women like prey and took earrings as trophies from some of his victims. He got his nickname because he once appeared on the dating game TV show.
I want to know, why does it take so long for death row?
I'd like to know that too. Other than the appeals.
Yeah.
That are filed.
Yeah. It just seems like it takes a long time. And some don't even make it to that. But anyway. So remember Tally, who witnessed justice for the other girls, the one survivor? She expressed her relief of his death by saying, quote, "The planet is a better place without him. That's for sure. I know it's awful what happened to me, but I've never identified with it. I've moved on with my life, so this doesn't really affect me. It's a long time coming, but he's got his karma," end quote.
That's beautifully said.
Mm-hmm. Investigator John Sheeman, who had been working on the cold case involving Rodney, recalled the way that he would trace his finger along the faces of the victims in the photographs placed before him. He stated, quote, "He's where he needs to be, and I'm sure that's in hell. When I interviewed him back in 2016, he was the most cold person. Everything about that guy just gives me the creeps," end quote.
Wow, the investigator says it too.
Yeah, they all say creepy. That's how they describe him. So in conclusion, Matt Murphy, who is a ABC News contributor and former prosecutor of Rodney's case in 2003, said, quote, "The dating game appearance is just a bizarre part of the case. I think that what it reflects is the narcissism and the ego and the arrogance of a serial killer," end quote. And I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are still over 100 photographs of unidentified women who may have been his victims. We don't know. We don't know who survived, who didn't. Investigators estimate his victims could be as many as 130, but the true number may never, ever be known.
And what's interesting, though, about it is that he didn't have, like, a type.
No.
You know how some of the serial killers, a brunette, or it didn't, accordingly to these pictures, it didn't matter.
No, it didn't. I agree. I looked at some of the pictures, totally different looks, hair colors, ages, style, clothing, everything was different.
Even the race, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So they have these pictures. There's too many for me to post. There's over 100. But if you Google his name and possible victims, it'll come up. There's like, people have made slideshows of all these victims. There's so many pictures, and only a few has come forward and said, hey, yeah, that's me. That was me. But there's still so many to go. So take a look at that. Who knows? You might know the person or someone that might.
Or you might help find the person that someone's looking for.
Yeah. They could be fine. We don't know. But just because he's gone doesn't mean the case is gone. Well, that concludes this week's episode. If you're craving more Operation Evil, please check out our Patreon for bonus episodes. We put one bonus episode out per month. And just as a reminder, if you want to get started with your own podcast, check out our link in the show notes to Buzzsprout. It's an easy way to launch your podcast and get your show listed on every major platform. Be sure to follow the link and you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you and it helps support our show. Now, I keep bugging Rachel every week about her DNA. And every week, she says the same thing. I just want to let you guys know I made an effort this week. I texted her before work, before we left her house. And I was like, look, bring your DNA kit. You know what she does? Ignores my text. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
I really didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I love Miss Rachel. Miss Rachel, though, either texts me a lot or never for 2 weeks. So, like she's one of those.
I'm one of those people too, like we'll be having the conversation and then all of a sudden I just stop texting.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And sometimes I have to be like, did you look at what I sent you? What are you talking about? I don't know. I sent you yesterday. Look at
Or I'll just forget to reply.
So you guys, I am working on it. I don't see you guys bothering her about it though, so I could use her help. So please reach out to Rachel.
Yeah, the only person that did was A.
Yeah. Yep. And me. And we need more people bothering her. So she remembers to bring it into work. We're going to make a video. I'm going to make a video on this to show everybody when you do it.
And then we're going to find out that we're related down the line.
That would be awesome. So we'll be back next week with a new episode. In the meantime, if you want to meet someone new to date, maybe consider not dating and don't go on a dating show and don't choose the good-looking, charming guy who gives you strange vibes.
That's some good advice.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's all we got for you today. This has been Operation Evil. I don't know. You got a better ending?
No. How can I do any better than that?
I don't know. You can sing a tune. All right, friends. We'll talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.